So there's this guy who's been in crypto since 2009, back when almost nobody had even heard the word Bitcoin. He built one of the first Bitcoin wallets that lived right inside Facebook. He helped Stellar get off the ground. He even sits on the board of the Dogecoin Foundation. I mean, this is a genuine crypto original. And then he looked at the whole industry, all the hype, all the speculation, all the noise, and he basically said, you know what? Everybody's building this the wrong way. So he went and built the opposite, a blockchain where following the rules isn't an afterthought, it's the entire foundation. And then, kind of quietly, he wired it into more than 750 American credit unions. So, let's talk about Metal Blockchain. Okay, so to really get metal, you have to start with the people, right? The founder is a guy named Marshall Hayner, and honestly, his story is half the fun. Back in 2014, he built something called QuickCoin, one of the very first Bitcoin wallets that worked right inside Facebook. And the idea was dead simple. Make crypto so easy that your aunt could send you $5 in Bitcoin without ever reading a white paper. From there, he spent time helping the Stellar Development Foundation in its early days. And yeah, he eventually landed on the board of the Dogecoin Foundation. So this is somebody who has lived through every cycle, every meme, every boom, and every bust this industry has ever had. And his co-founder, a Belgian engineer named Glenn Marion, actually built dogechain.info. So the two of them literally met in the Dogecoin community. Then, in 2016, they started a company called Metallicus out in San Francisco. Their first big product was MetalPay, a friendly little payments app that handed you back a bit of crypto every time you sent money to a friend. But here's the thing that really matters. Somewhere along the way, Hayner's whole philosophy shifted. He started saying he wanted to do crypto the right way. Less casino, more plumbing. Build the boring, regulated, compliant rails that an actual bank could trust. And that one idea, right there, is the seed for everything metal becomes. So what actually is Metal Blockchain? Let's build it up piece by piece, because this part is genuinely cool, even if you've never touched a line of code. Metal is what's called a fork of Avalanche, meaning they took Avalanche, a well-respected high-speed blockchain, and built their own version on its blueprint. And they run it as a layer 0, which just means it's the foundation other chains get built on. Think of it like the soil, and everything else is the plants growing out of it. On top of that foundation, Metal runs 4 chains at once, and each one has a job. One creates and trades assets. One speaks Ethereum's language so normal smart contracts just work. And one quietly coordinates everybody behind the scenes. But the fourth one is the special sauce. It's called the A chain, and it's actually Proton, now known as the XPR network, a payments chain with digital identity built right in. And almost nobody else fuses these things together like this. Now, how do all these computers agree on what's true without a boss in charge? Metal uses Avalanche's approach, and it's honestly elegant. Instead of every computer shouting at once, each one quietly asks a small random handful of others, "Hey, what do you think?" It adopts the majority answer, asks again and again, and once enough rounds agree in a row, the decision is locked in for good. Fast, energy light, no drama. Underneath, Metal can spin up what it calls subnets, basically private lanes on the highway, each one handling around 4,500 transactions a second, with as many lanes as you need. And the native token, called Metal, is hard capped. There will only ever be 666 million of them, and every fee paid actually gets burned, so heavy usage slowly shrinks the supply. But the real headline here is compliance. Things like identity checks and anti-money laundering tools are built into the base layer, not bolted on later. They call it BSA-Ready. And that, right there, is the whole pitch to a bank. Okay, so here's where Metal does something almost nobody else in crypto does. Instead of chasing traders, they went after credit unions. You know, those member-owned, not-for-profit community banks where your car loan probably lives. Basically, the least flashy corner of all of American finance. And the move that kicked it off was honestly beautiful. Back in late 2024, Metallicus acquired a company called Bonifii, which used to be CU Ledger, the credit union industry's own original blockchain co-op from years earlier. So Metal didn't cold call its way in. It bought the credit union's own trusted insider and brought 70 plus of them along on day one. And from there, it just snowballed. They built the Banking Innovation Program, and today it spans more than 750 credit unions across the country, plugging in through the big leagues, Go West, the Cornerstone League with its 600 plus members, the Maryland and DC Association, and more. And look, this isn't some press release fantasy. Metallicus is a certified participant in the Federal Reserve's FedNow instant payment system. And in February of 2026, they added request for payment certification on top of that. They even hooked into Fiserv, one of the giants of bank technology, so credit card and old school ACH payments run right alongside the blockchain stuff. Now, I'll be honest with you because this is the part that complicates the whole crypto story. What Metal is really building here isn't a degen playground. It's banking infrastructure. Slow, regulated, careful, kind of unglamorous. And that, it turns out, is exactly the bet. So why is all of this kicking off right now? Well, one big reason is the law finally caught up. In July of 2025, the United States passed the Genius Act, the first real federal rule book for stablecoins, which are basically digital dollars that are supposed to be backed one-to-one by actual reserves. It demands full backing, regular public attestations, and strict anti-money laundering rules. And here's a detail almost everyone skips right over. Under that law, a stablecoin is not allowed to pay you interest. So for a credit union, the appeal was never about yield. It's about speed and cost, and keeping their members from wandering off to some random crypto app, which is exactly what Metal hands them. They built a stablecoin pilot program, and the clever part is that no real money is ever at risk. Credit unions get a sandbox, test wallets, a pretend version of their own branded dollar, and they practice moving it around, credit union to credit union, before a single real cent is involved. The staff learns it, the compliance team learns it, the board learns it. Then in late 2025, they teamed up with a company called Investify, which plugs into more than 15 banking systems, so a credit union could one day offer its own branded stablecoin right inside the app members already use. And just this May, in 2026, the Cross-State Association launched a program with 50 credit unions across Pennsylvania and New Jersey to run exactly this kind of testing. So, step back and look at the contrarian idea hiding in here. Everybody loves to argue about which giant blockchain is going to win. Metal quietly bet on something much smaller and honestly much warmer, your local credit union, issuing its own trustworthy digital dollar. So where is all of this actually heading? Well, in their own words, from their 2026 first quarter update, Metallicus says it's moving from experiments toward production-ready infrastructure for credit unions, for wallet users, and for the broader ecosystem. On the everyday person side, there's the WebAuth wallet, which lets you sign a transaction with your face, kind of Face ID style, with the keys locked safely inside your phone's secure chip. And through a partnership with a company called Temenos, that technology can reach thousands of banks. Now, here's where I really want to be straight with you, because trust matters way more than hype. There's a huge buzz right now around AI agents that pay each other automatically, little software robots settling tiny bills over the internet using stablecoins. There's even an emerging standard for it called X402. And look, It would be so easy for me to sit here and tell you that Metal is all over that. But honestly, as of right now, in the middle of 2026, Metal Blockchain has not announced any AI agent or X402 product. None at all. And I'm just not going to pretend otherwise. What I will say is this: if regulated, compliant machine payments ever become a real everyday thing, the rails you'd want are pretty much exactly what Metal has already quietly built. Identity baked in, real Federal Reserve connections, stablecoin tools that actually follow the rules. So they may not be out there shouting about AI, but they've laid the track in a very sensible direction. And that, in a nutshell, is the whole thesis. The boring, careful, compliance-first bet might just be the one that's still standing when the music stops. So let's pull this all together. Metal blockchain is what happens when a crypto original decides the grown-up version of this technology is the interesting one. A compliance-first layer 0, a clever 4-chain design with that surprise payments chain tucked inside, a hard cap token, and a genuinely unexpected customer, hundreds of America's credit unions. And if any of this sparks something, here's where you can go look for yourself. No spending required. Their white paper and developer docs are open to anyone at docs.metalblockchain.org. If you work at a credit union, the Banking Innovation Program and that Stablecoin Sandbox are free to eligible league members. You can try the WebAuth wallet yourself, and you can watch their newsroom for whatever comes after that 2026 first quarter report. The token, Metal, is publicly trackable too, just so you can follow the story, not a suggestion to go buy anything. The big takeaway? In a space absolutely addicted to noise, Metal made a quiet, careful bet on trust, and that one is genuinely worth understanding. If you got something out of this, do me a quick favor and tap subscribe. It honestly helps the channel more than you'd think. And drop me a comment. Should more crypto projects take the boring, compliant route like this, or does that miss the whole point? I read every single one. Thanks so much for hanging out, and I'll see you in the next one.